It's a big deal to me if you don't know. Now you know I'ma change your life. Just put your hands in the air.
What's up, Kansas City? I'm your host, Glenn Brian Frizzell. Today we are filming in historic Lincoln Building right here in the heart of the 18th and Vine Jazz District. Today's special guest has emerged as what Kansas City Star has called a prominent voice challenging City Hall. We'd like to welcome you to the show today, Mr. Dan Coffey, who is a spokesperson for Citizens for Responsible Government.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I understand the Kansas City Star and other journalists have labeled you as a watchdog of sorts to current projects that are going on in City Hall. You are asking some of the tough questions. You are showing us a different side of the issue that we don't necessarily normally look at always. Can you tell us where your group, where you personally stand on the 18th and Vine Jazz District, the restoration project that is currently going on? It's an issue that is very dear to us, one that we are concerned with the outcome of.
Certainly. How we got interested in it, well, I've always been kind of interested in the area, but there was a proposal to give $27 million to 18th and Vine. And I said, we're not necessarily against that.
You're not?
No, and in other words, it could very well be that $27 million isn't enough. Maybe they need more money than that over here. But our concern is who's going to get it? I mean, to write a check for $27 million to 18th and Vine and hand it to somebody.
I live on 18th and Vine.
See what I mean? That's what we're talking about. So we started asking questions. Okay, who's going to get this money? What are they going to do with it? Where's it going to go? Are they going to create jobs? How many jobs are supposedly going to be created? What's going to be the outcome? Are there businesses? They're going to put businesses over there. Who's going to run those businesses? Who's going to own those businesses? You know, and so on. Just questions like that any sound business person would be asking. You know, and so we started asking the questions. We sent requests to our city council people to, hey, find out, we need to know these answers. And that's when they kind of became very active on the project and started asking questions also. And to make a long story short, it went from 27 million now down to 7 million. But I kind of still have the same questions. I know there's been some talk about what they're going to do with the $7 million. They're going to spend some over here at the Buck O'Neill Center. That's fine. That's a worthwhile project, certainly. And they're going to buy some buildings. Maybe that's necessary, but I'm not a big proponent of the city being in the real estate business. I think the private investors should own the real estate and own the businesses. I think when people have skin in the game, they're much more interested in making it successful than if somebody gives them a building or rents them a building at a very low rate and there's not the incentive there to make a success out of whatever business they put in that building.
Now, I should say, Mr. Coffey, I was joking. I do not live on 18th and Vine, but we are a platform here at Cascade Media Group for the people who do live here.
Sure.
And as I understand it, you're asking the tough questions that don't necessarily get asked. You're sitting in meetings, you're talking to city council representatives. What you've heard so far, has it been up to standard?
Well, like I say, they went from 27 million to 7.
Which was approved at the last city council meeting.
Yes. Now, they talk about it being a phase 1 and that they'll be back for a phase 2 and a phase 3 and another 7 million and 7. But I would caution them. I think what we need to do now is, I know they've laid out a plan that they're going to use that $7 million for, buy a couple of more buildings, like I said, and then redo some of the Buck O'Neill building over here. But I think we need to visit it a year from now and say, okay, what's the result of that? You know, I mean, they got the 7 million. Let's see what they do with it. See what I mean? And then are there jobs created by this 7 million? That's really what we need.
Yes, we do need jobs in this area, and it's just getting the jobs the first phase. How do we remain accountable and say, you promised us these jobs, now it's time to pay up?
That's right. Now that brings me to another point. It's something that we've argued with, and
make good on that promise.
That's right, and they don't do that. You know, since about over the last 25 years, TIF. You're familiar with the tax increment financing. The state auditor's office publishes a report And we have given out pretty close to $8 billion in TIF deals in the last 25 years in Kansas City. There was supposed to be something like, I'm trying to get my numbers straight here, something like about 70,000 jobs created over this period of time also, but only about 56% of those jobs has actually been created. Yet I don't see any place where they've ever gone back to somebody and said, look, you promised you would create 3,000 jobs. You only created 1,500 jobs. You need to pay some of the money back we gave you. See what I mean? Or your tax break isn't going to be as lengthy as it originally was planned.
There needs to be some type of accountability for that money.
Exactly.
Now I'm going to ask you a little bit about your group here in just a minute, but I want to take the flip side of this issue. We had Councilman Quentin Lucas on
That's
earlier.
right. I was going to tell you, we need to shout out to him. He's working on
And
this.
he's working on it.
Yes,
He's
he
in the
is.
community and he's visible. But he's saying that same three people show up to his meetings. He's in the public. They show up to his meetings every week. So how do we? One person can only do so much. How do we say that we need these things and we're not visible and advocating for them regularly?
Well, and that's been the history in the area that we've learned. Since we started our group in 2013, I do believe that the public is more vocal. You know, we started out, we were kind of the only ones speaking up on certain issues and stuff. And now as we sit back and take a look, we have a lot of people. You know, there has been some TIFs being suggested for some areas of town where the people in the area said, no, that's not right. And they fought it. They spoke up. They got a hold of the city council members and they said, hey, we don't like this. We don't want this. We want to challenge this.
Now you're a penetration drive-fueled person. Is that a hard process to?
It is a hard
take,
process.
Knock on the doors and grassroots.
It's horrible. It's a hard process. And you know, you shouldn't have to run your government that way. We should have people in office that are competent enough and capable enough to make good, honest decisions and run the city government like they would run their own business. That's what we're asking them to do. Would you do this? Would you make this decision if it was your
That's a good
money?
analogy.
If it was your business, would you do it this way? And if the answer to that is no, then they shouldn't pass it. They shouldn't vote for it.
So you are a political activist. You have a background in sales and marketing. And I just want to ask you, what does it mean to, you've kind of touched on it, but what does it mean further to act as a responsible citizen?
Well, to obey the laws, to obey the charter. I was reading it, somebody posed a question. A lot of the stuff that comes to us comes from members of our group. Hey, what do you think about this? Or you need to look into this. Somebody asked a question about why do we let these contracts out with no bids? Why does the city do that? So,
Set asides.
yeah, we looked up the charter. The charter says that all contracts will be bid. There are exceptions, but in the city charter it says that you know, that bids are to be let through the contract process.
Really?
Yeah. So anyway, to be a good citizen, you need to obey the law, and that's what we're saying. You know, obey the law, and when you see something that's wrong, speak up.
And Mr. Coffey, you're very vocal. You don't care if people like you or not. That's
Well,
not your
I
purpose.
don't like anybody else. I like for people to like me, but I know there's a lot of people that don't. So I mean, I don't worry about it.
Biggest challenges in City Hall right now?
Well, you know, you're always going to have challenges at City Hall. Again, we just would like to hold people accountable for their actions, you know, down there, and make sure they're good people. I mean, there's nothing. I'm not saying that we have any dead weights down there at City Hall or anything like that, but
No, not at all.
they need to be responsible for the decisions they make, and they need to think things through. If you would go into some of those city council people's office, in the course of a week's time, I'll bet you they get, I don't want to be silly, but sometimes 1,500, maybe 2,000 pages of stuff to read. And there's no way they can get their arms around all of that. And then you have somebody who's pushing real hard for something and wants to run it through the council as an emergency. Got to vote on it right now, today. And
Clouds your decision making.
that's right. It's just wrong. You know, I mean, we need to sit back, take a look at everything, you know, just be good, sound, responsible citizens and stewards of the taxpayers' money.
Now,
It's our money.
It is our money. We
Yep.
talked about TIF briefly. Where are you with the airport restructuring and the tax dollars that were used we're going to get used to build a hotel, convention hotel.
You know, we had to sue on the we had to sue on the hotel because they said our petition that we had was illegal and unconstitutional. So we sued the city on that, and we lost. The judge upheld the city side, and we can get in a long argument about that. We think we were right still, but I'm not going to worry about that. As far as I don't know what's going on with the hotel, I've not heard anything since that. We could have appealed it, but with the political climate the way it was, we didn't feel like it was in our best interest to spend the extra money to go ahead and appeal that. We have a lawsuit right now against the Kansas City Regional Transit Alliance. We asked for some information from them. We wanted to know where they're getting their funds and how they're going to try to expand the streetcar now. And we don't think that should be a TDD. We think that should be a citywide vote because it affects all the taxpayers. And if you don't think it affects you, look at your water bill and your gas bill and your electric bill. They're not putting in the cost of the streetcar, the original streetcar. The utilities work isn't in that. That's on your bill. So the whole city's paying for that, and they're probably going to do the same thing on any expansion. So we would like to see it go to a public vote. We should be a public vote if we're going to try to expand the streetcar.
And you've already taken steps to get that underway or get that process. Can you tell me some upcoming projects this summer or early fall?
Well,
Where
right
you're focusing
now,
your
that's
time?
probably the main one. You know, the airport, you mentioned the airport. Supposedly the mayor said he's putting that on the back burner for the time being, but it's not on the back burner. There's still all this underbelly, this current underneath the table type stuff of people going on, pushing the single terminal. It, to me, would be a lot easier to run City Hall if they would just sit back and say, well, what do the voters want? The voters want to maybe remodel what we have. They don't want to they don't want us to tear down that airport up there. They want to do something, reconfigure it, whatever we need to do. And there's a beautiful plan on the table to enlarge it, remodel it, look like a brand new facility at half the price. Well, you know, they need to look at that kind of stuff, but they're not. They just keep trying to, well, we want a single terminal, we're going to push that, we're going to push that. We want a streetcar, we're going to push that. The people have told them no, I think 8 times on the streetcar, and yet they continue to push that.
We're sitting here with Mr. Coffey, who's a spokesperson for Citizens for Responsible Government. Do you have any thoughts, any closing words for our viewers here? How can they get in touch with you?
Well, for one thing, I think that it would be a lot easier to run our city if they would just do what the taxpayers ask them to do. That would be one thing. And if anybody would like to get on our email list and get the information that we send out, it's cfrg123@gmail.com. And they can just send me an email at that email address.
Can you say that again for our viewers?
cfrg123@gmail.com. And send us an email, give us your information, we'll add you to the list, and you'll start getting our publications.
So, what's up, Kansas City? It's about getting our facts right. It's about doing the research and being vocal in what we want to see happen in our neighborhoods and in our communities. Mr. Coffey, we thank you very much for devoting your precious time and giving us a little bit of what you do. We hope that you'll come back in the near future and talk to us about some of your projects when they're in the works.
Okay. I appreciate very much the opportunity, and thank you.
I'm Glenn Frizzell. This is What's Up Kansas City. Check out more video online at www.whatsupkansascity.net. And remember, the sky's the limit. Aim high, shoot for the moon. If you miss, at the very least, you would have landed among the stars. Take care until next time.
I'm IFBB Bikini Pro Cat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out.